Alright, hello again. I'm gonna make a new video. Sorry for no video on Friday. I was settling in from the flight back to my home on Friday. Also, I was relaxing too to deal with the plane ride. Anyways, I am now in Alaska, back at my home. So, it's gonna be a bit, but I'm going to try to make a description of myself, and I'll propose to you a moral dilemma. We've passed by 100 videos on this channel, so making a little description of me shouldn't be too much of a problem. Alright, first, who am I? I'm BY. For those curious, those are actually my initials. So, essentially, if you know me, which it's very possible you do if you're related to me, or if you met me before, you could probably figure out what the initials stand for. It's just my first and last name. Now, I'm around 18, 19 years old, and I was born between January 1st, 2006 to December 31st, 2008. Pretty young, honestly. But still, I am me, a freshman in college. And naturally, I work with a person. I am their face, or hands if you were. As a result, I'm the person you see writing these things down and recording them. This recording device, that's mine. A person's just the person who handles the description and everything else. Now, I really got into politics and history in high school. That was when I really started getting more into it. I started getting into history in around middle school, and really got into politics in high school. Partially because I was bored, honestly, but other parts was I was just generally fascinated. So it didn't help that COVID was coming around right at the end of my classes, so I had some thoughts. Yeah, as one might imagine, I was in middle school when COVID hit. Wasn't fun. At least I think it was. I'm trying to remember exacts. But I believe it was around the end of middle school for me. Needless to say, my memory gets pretty shoddy after a while. But I try my best. In fact, I actually generally look back at our past videos to try to see if I did a topic already, because my brain tends to loop a bit. And so, as a result, I am me. I have my thoughts, my beliefs, and I cooperate with a person. The two of us work together on this channel, and, well, we do what we do. So yeah. Needless to say, we have our own beliefs, and they all tend to center around pragmatism, and in particular, doing hard things now so that you don't have to deal with them later. And that should be a decent enough segue into the moral dilemma that I would like to ask you. So, there are three choices for you to pick from. You can only choose one, and you must accept the consequences of all of them as your own. In number one, your society is struggling, and you do nothing. As a result, life is short, people suffer, and mortality increases, particularly among the young. Option two, somehow, there is a device that allows you to sacrifice a child for prosperity. So, do you sacrifice the child? And here's the third. You found a possibility where if you sacrifice 2 children a year for 5 years, then you can get the results of the sacrifices without having to sacrifice again, while still maintaining it throughout the entire situation. Which do you choose? Do you do nothing and let people live worse lives? Do you sacrifice one child for the benefit of the group? Or do you sacrifice 2 children for 5 years in an effort to ensure prosperity for all in the long term? Now, if you're a utilitarian, as I am, number 3 stands out as the obvious choice, the practical one. 10 children die. In exchange, many more children live in the long term. I can understand number 1 as well. A lot of people, especially those who are more focused on their families, will gladly say, so long as my family's okay, I'll be fine, do as you will. It's the fact that a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for such actions and can easily separate themselves from it if they do nothing that leads to number 1 being an understandable choice. I don't agree with it, but I can understand someone saying, I don't want that pressure on me. I'll leave it to fate, see how things go. The one I have an issue with is number 2, and that is where a lot of people, especially on the left of politics, suffer. Because I have several people I know of that are left-wing. Go figure. This is politics. But a lot of them make the argument of, well, if we delay, we can make things better over time. Fix the problems, slowly make it better, close the loopholes, and the system should function fine. Whenever I or someone else on the right points out that, no, the system you put in place is just a money sink and isn't helping anyone. And it is essentially that logic of sacrificing the child. Yes, indeed. If you can reform a system, great. But if you're in a situation where, let's say you finally succeed, let's say in 20 years, this child sacrifice can end using just the 1. Well, guess what? That's still 10 extra children you are sacrificing. That's still many people's tax dollars you spent for nothing in your efforts to reform. And that is my problem with number 2. Now, if you want, you can still make a decision and disagree with me. You can still say you prefer number 2 because it's less risky and it's less likely to get people hurt in one go. But that fact is something I cannot abide by because it still means more people get hurt. In practical terms, it is not the best option. This is why you see me and a person supporting austerity measures, policies that hurt in the short term, let's face it, a lot, in exchange for long-term prosperity and opportunity. I, as well as a person, firmly believe in the idea that if there's to be suffering, it is better to endure it now than wait later and suffer more. And thus, we'd pick 3. You can pick whatever you want, but in the end, I ask you to honestly consider, how many people are you willing to hurt just to please your own beliefs? And if you want to know more about me, tell you what, in this comment section, you can ask what you will of me and me alone. Me and a person will answer, and we'll make no distinction between ourselves, and we'll gladly allow you to learn a bit more about us. Well, me, not a person. We're saving that surprise for later. But that will be all. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.